Welcome to the Dirt World Podcast. I'm Jason Richmond, a fourth-generation road builder who started on a shovel and now serves as the Chief Operating Officer at BuildWit. We are excited to have Evan Triggs, Vice President of Earthwave Technologies, join us today. Evan was a student athlete at Ball State University and graduated with a computer systems networking and telecommunications degree. He served at Angie's List for 5 years before joining Earthwave in 2017. He's passionate about public speaking, motivating, training, leadership, and developing sales professionals. I'm excited to hear your story, Evan. Welcome to the Dirt World Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. How you doing
today? It's been a great morning
today?
so far. I'm even more excited to be with you this morning. We have so much in common. But yeah, it's been great. I'm really excited.
Yeah, you know, one of the things as I started doing the research, I was noticing like you went to Cathedral, you went to Ball State, Angie's List. I live in Indiana. Those are all Indiana roots. So tell me a little bit about your path starting from, as early as possible.
Yeah, very much rooted in Indiana, Indianapolis area. But you hit the nail on the head, right? I went to high school at Cathedral, and that's kind of been a very, it's been advantageous for me moving forward. But I went to Ball State. You mentioned I played football. Cathedral's a football school, right? So, that led to having a pretty good career moving forward at the next level. Currently a coach at Cathedral, so I still, give back there. But from Ball State, really got into the telematics world. Started off, my first real job was a sales job selling cell phones at the Verizon kiosk in the mall. So, moving forward from there, the Angie's List world really came about in 2010, 11, 12, and it really got big in the city. And so, there's a ton of talent there. We were able to do a lot with that organization to grow and expand it. And most of it was working with contractors. A lot of the roofing, HVAC, painting, remodeling contractors really got a feel for that world. And just through mentorships, through opportunities being available, I got a shot at Earthwave Technologies as the director of sales. And, from selling cell phones to Earthwave Technologies, which is literally a telematics device, it was like this crazy, it was almost serendipitous how it all happened. Being in that world and then getting thrust back into the world with working with contractors right in the middle. So it's been a blessing. It's been awesome. And so there's, with our business now, there's so much more room to grow as the construction industry is adopting more technology. So it's been really exciting.
Yeah, that's really cool. Another thing we have in common, I played college sports as well. I went to Anderson University, small D3 school, played baseball. Had an absolute blast. Just kind of throwing it over to you from your football days at Ball State. Like, what was one of the, best moments that you had, or, something that you could share was really exciting while you were playing football at Ball State?
Ball State, if you remember in the early 2000s, we had some ups and some downs. So we had some downs, right? We were coming off of a 21-game losing streak, and I'm not sure people remember this, but David Letterman used to come on the air and give us a hard time, right? He'd being our most famous alumni. One of our greatest moments, it was football and homecoming, and we had just come off a 21-game losing streak, and Letterman promised he was going to come to the campus and participate in homecoming, and we were playing the 23rd ranked team in the country, Toledo, which is our arch rival. And we actually won that game by a kickoff return with seconds left on the clock and beat them at home. And we literally trashed the whole campus. I mean, the kids stormed the stadium. We trashed the campus. But Letterman played that video on his show that upcoming Sunday. So that was a real exciting moment. We got a chance to give him something to put on the air, but also to overcome some challenges with our program and get a big win.
That's incredible. I'm just out of curiosity. What position?
I played defensive end. Played on the D line. Yeah. Chasing quarterbacks.
Very good. Very good. I hear you. Well, one thing that we haven't talked about that I read in your bio was this little stint that you had with the Indianapolis Tornadoes minor league football team. Wow. Founder, leading 10 years. What?
Yeah,
Tell me
it's
a
a
little bit
long
about
story, but
that.
I will say, my quest was to go pro, in the NFL, and I spent a lot of time of my life, chasing that dream after college, and I still wanted to play football, and there was opportunities to still go pro, but there was opportunities to play local, and we went out to a couple of friends of ours. We went out to some local teams in Indianapolis, and they were unprofessional, didn't have good talent. It's kind of not well put together. And just with my football background, I felt like I was obligated to bring a professional outfit to Indianapolis for guys like me who still can play, who are still networking and trying to build a presence in the city, fresh out of college, and also too want to play for a team that has talent and want to compete at a high level. Really, that's how it all started. And so, like-minded individuals like myself, other business guys who most of them were contractors that had money, that were former players, wanted to get involved. And, from there, I think, Jason, I'll tell you a couple of things happened. One, I found that Indianapolis is a legitimate spot to have a good football team because of, the growing city, people being here. Number two is amateur sports was good for business for us. And, amateur sports in Indianapolis was really, really a good venture. And you see there's other teams here in Indianapolis that do minor league professional. They could be soccer, they could be basketball. But we got in early and were able to do, and I did that for 7 years. And it was really, really good on both sides, the football and the business.
Man, that's incredible. As I'm hearing you talk, I'm thinking about what a visionary you are, just how passionate you are for your community, and
Appreciate
growing
that.
and building causes. And so it does not surprise me to hear about your sales leadership and the successes that you're having on, there at Earthwave. As I was doing the research, checking out social media, I was noticing that when you sign off, you say coach. And I just thought that was super cool. So tell me a little bit about coach. What does that
Sure.
mean to
That
you?
means a lot. That means a lot. Um, my background's in football. And I tell people all the time, my mom, she worked every day. I had older brothers and sisters that actually we all had to have jobs. And I was the youngest, second youngest. And, doing sports was something I was just thrusted into. And it wasn't because my mom could take me to practices, to the games. My best friend's dad was our coach. So I was able to go play football because he would pick me up and take us where we needed to go. So that's the impact of a coach, right? To do something in my life that I didn't have the ability to do unless a coach could lead the way for me. And then, fast forward that I look back on my past, it was the coach who would help us be successful. It was the coach that paved the way. And so as I became a leader in business and leader in sales, I always wanted to make sure I still had that impact on people that those coaches had for me. And not just in sports. I can be a great coach in the business world. I can be a great coach for my sales professionals and still give them that same opportunity. So of course, I come to the office and want to be called whatever, but now they call me coach in the office just because this kind of the presence that I bring. So my name tag on my door says Coach Triggs, right? So, and I endear that. I do. I really appreciate people acknowledge me on that level because of what it means to me.
Yeah, it draws me in. If you're not following Evan on socials, you should go check him out. He's got some great videos, very motivational, very encouraging, very uplifting. And to me, that positive spirit, that positive energy, it attracts. And so to me, like whether you're attracting workforce or whether you're attracting, people to your organization or customers, like to me, it's like, wow, this coaching mentality is great for your business, but it's great for the dirt
Absolutely.
world.
So, there's some real truth in what you said, because quite honestly, our role in the construction space and our technology, there's an adoption level where, that's where the rubber meets the road, so to speak, right? Contractors have been underserved in technology. We all know this. That's why we're doing these types of things. But the coaching piece of it is we actually get our team to the level where they can coach, advise, they can help contractors get to the next level. And it's in that advice, it's in that what we call intentionality, right? That intentionality that we're going to be there for you and we're going to work through the steps to get you to the next level. I think that's where it transfers, from the coach to the athlete, from the contractor and the technology service. There is that same relationship.
Yeah, I love one of the quotes that you put on social. It says, "It's not about winning, it's about getting better." And then you'd reference how you follow John Wooden, in some of his coaching philosophies of, constantly train on the fundamentals, and we have to have the right mindset. And I think that, that correlates with what you're just saying there. Like, we have to have a growth mindset in construction. And we've got to figure out, how can we train every day and get better every day? And if we don't have the right mindset, if we're not, striving for getting better, then we're just going to get what we've always had. And so, I think that's really cool how you pull in those parallels of some of the most, famous coaches ever into the construction industry.
Wooden. So within our company, John Wooden, the pyramid of success is something that we use as far as our internal training, right? And that's not something new for me. Joining Earthwave, I had received as a Christmas present one of those calendars that had like every day you tear the page off. It had a quote, and it was a John Wooden calendar, right? So I've got these John Wooden, post-it notes up around my cubicle. And people would make fun of me, but they would also read them and get something out of it. So to your point, the fundamentals. I think we get back to the fundamentals at any level, and this is not just business. This is not just coaching. This is in construction as well. And I think the companies that really focus on the fundamentals, they can really attach to our process. And our process for any kind of technology is you first crawl, right? Then you walk, then you run. That's just like any process, right? And the fundamentals are in that crawl space where, you really get your feet up underneath you. The other piece of it too, right? And the other piece real quick is winning. And this is what I learned just in high school at Cathedral and moving forward. You don't want to win. Winning is not just to win; it's winning the right way. And the objective of every game is to win. But guess what? You don't win every game, right? So if you only find joy in the victory, you won't find joy. It's in the opportunities that you get to compete and what you receive, what you learn after the competition.
That's so powerful. Absolutely so powerful. Yeah, it's like, I think about construction from start to finish. And if you don't enjoy the journey and the process, you're not going to enjoy your job very much. But we all love to look back and say we built that and it's super cool. But it's the process. It's that grind. It's that, every day. So really cool. I keep referencing your social media. I hope you're okay with that. Learned a lot about you. One other quick thing I wanted to join in. Yeah, one other thing I wanted to pull out here early in the conversation is I thought it was cool how you wrote, "We take personal development serious here at Earthwave." And you give, you read books, you learn, you grow together, but you also give recognition. And you gave the book Glue. And then you ask the question, who's the glue in your organization? And I just thought that was one, cool that you're reading and learning and growing together. Two, you're given a book. Three, you're given recognition. And then you're asking a really profound question. It really made me think about who's the glue at BuildWitt and how important that is within any organization that's out there.
So in sports, and I hate to talk about myself because I really like to be humble, but in sports, I consider myself a difference maker. I really do. And there was opportunities where, I was able to step in that role and do those things. And then I was recognized for it. As much as I want to be humble, when someone recognizes me, that means that I don't have to pump myself up and do those types of things. And I think that's important in business. One, there are difference makers in organizations where the day they show up, they light the room up any project you hand them, any task that they've given, they take it upon themselves as if it was their task, as if it's their business. And so, one, I feel myself to be a difference maker, and number two, I want to make sure I recognize those difference makers. And in that book, Glue, it's a lot of the things that was in that book. The gentleman that I was recognizing was already doing. So I was almost edifying some of the processes that he had put together, and he hadn't even read the book. And to take it to the next level, all people have to do to be successful is maybe just document. I do it on social. Maybe just document some of the things that you do. Maybe just share a few things, because we don't even know how the impact that we have currently on other people unless we share it. Does that make sense? That's why I do social. That's why I do, because it's every day for
100%.
us, right?
Yeah, 100%. When I think about, my leadership style, I think about these four walls: safety, teamwork, leadership, and recognition. And safety is not just like putting on your PPE gear. It's psychological safety. It's making sure that, the team feels very comfortable. And then, the old acronym, together everyone accomplishes more for team. Leadership, we've been talking about the importance of having influence and coaching and guiding and support. But to me, I know how recognition makes me feel. And I think that we have an opportunity and an obligation to give recognition to those that are out there working. So if you're out there today and people on your crews are working hard, giving it everything that they've got, it's not in our nature to stop and tell somebody, hey, great job, or hey, you're adding value to the team, or hey, thanks for showing up on time, or hey, thanks for being a leader. To me, that recognition, it feels good to receive it, but man, it feels great to give it. And so, just if you could talk for a minute about giving recognition.
Absolutely. So, what's interesting about leadership, and I explain this to anybody that I work with in regards to leaders. There's a book called Leaders Eat Last. And when I'll say that in a group of people and they go, what? It's like, no, leaders eat last, right? There's this philosophy that people, if people gain more when the recognition is given versus the leader standing in front and taking the recognition of their team that does the work. And so, combine those two. Leaders eat last. What does that mean, right? That means that sometimes I'm going to have to give the recognition to other people, although I guided them, I mentored them, I helped them. But that's what they have gained versus me. At the end of the day, when you look at when all things are done, I want the people to recognize that I was with them in the process. And I think that's what that means when leaders eat last, is you're with them in the process. And that has proved dividends for me. Sometimes in certain scenarios, should I have taken the credit or should I have done these different things? Maybe, but the dividends come in the long run. And I'm a long ball kind of guy. So I do give people the credit that they deserve. And even if it's one of those things where people say, I know you did. No, that doesn't matter, right? Give that person their time to shine, right? And I really do believe in that.
Man, that's incredible. That's so awesome. Well, thanks for sharing a little bit about, your thoughts, your ideas, your personal philosophies. Obviously that spills over into the culture, Earthwave Technologies. I mean, I can feel the energy and the excitement. So I can only imagine what it's like within your organization there. But tell me a little bit about Earthwave Technologies. There's a lot of listeners that are out there that, we've talked about it a little bit in terms of telematics, but, for those that don't know what it is or don't understand who you are and what you do, talk to me about, your organization and what you bring to the
first of all, it's family business. We still have that close-knit group where people who work in the organization it still has that family environment. We work very hard at what we do. Our founder and our president is still involved day-to-day operations. He gets on calls with us. He still meets with companies. Larry Baker is our president. He's actually going to be at the Dirt Summit as well. So he and I are going to man the day. But our business kind of evolved from what we thought we should be doing to now where we are. And it was through the help and guidance of contractors who have guided our business to where we need to go. 100% of our customers are in heavy civil space. Early in our conception, we got involved with software integrations, and then we got involved with corporate partners. And that, from that aspect, we've really grown our business. So we've got two real divisions. A lot of our customers are heavy highway, asphalt producing companies. So they do the big DOT jobs. They manufacture on asphalt aggregate. So we manage the trucks and we manage their operations on the laydown of hot mix. And then the other side of our business is going to be the dirt companies, very similar, the heavy civil, excavation, construction side of heavy civil. So, the big dump trucks that are moving dirt, we ticket those, we track those trucks. The big excavators that are there, we're monitoring idle on those excavators, making sure there's a right amount of trucks on the job site. And then the purpose of what we do, and this is from our founder who's been a business owner for 40 plus years. We want to help companies be more efficient, to manage their resources and assets to the best of the capability. One, because construction is no longer getting any cheaper, right? It's the highest it's been in a long time. So the purpose of this is, one, to remain to be profitable in this space. So that not only do we help our contractors grow, but we as an organism within the construction industry, we can grow too. So it's kind of one of those two things where if contractors are making money, if contractors are being more profitable, I think that makes us more successful, right, at the end of the day.
Totally agree. Yeah. Aaron Witt, our CEO and founder, talks all the time about the importance of profitability and getting to it so that you can take care of your people, take care of your teams, reinvest in your organization, give back to the dirt world, and whatnot. So really cool, with razor thin margins in construction, looking for competitive advantage and efficiencies and profitability. As I was looking at the website, it says if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And so it sounds like that's one of the big things that Earthwave does is, so what kind of metrics come with this? And I see Fleet Watcher and Fleet Watcher construction and software. So can you kind of tell me a little bit about what's Earthwave and Fleet Watcher and how does that all work
Fleet Watcher's
together?
Earthwave is our technology company. Fleet Watcher's our product, right? So anybody that has the app, anybody that has the website is going to see a Fleet Watcher logo. When we're out, when we're out doing charity events, sometimes you'll see us doing some things in the marketplace, like in Indianapolis, we'll do like a Thanksgiving dash, or we'll do some kind of charity event for strength. You'll see Earthwave. So, just the two different entities work that way. But some of the metrics, I think, one is we really do preach a top-down leadership, right? That's why I love the Dirt Summit, because I saw very specifically you guys mentioned in your collateral, we want to see VPs here, directors here, CEOs, presidents. And I'm thinking absolutely, because any metric that we talk about measuring and improving has to start with leadership. Some of the questions that we ask in our process are, when you guys sit down in your management meetings, do you guys talk about ways to be better at your operation, right? And then when you talk about ways to be better at your operation, how do you break that down into a metric that you can train, teach your team, and drive that number, right? So that's where it starts. On a lot of operations, there's going to be waste because we're burning too much fuel. We've got time cards in the field that aren't reflecting the work. We've got numbers that sometimes get fudged. So we try to provide accurate data, okay? And then it's not just accurate data for the course of accuracy. It's accurate data to drive a metric. So a couple metrics that we do in the dirt world specifically are cycle times, right? Cycle times, a trucking cost based on what your target is, right? So I'm going to pay these trucks by the ton. They're going to have X amount of time to complete the cycle. What are those numbers in comparison to what we bid? Because that's important, right? There's only a few variable costs in in some of these operations. The material we can't, material and labor, we can't negotiate that. Some of these companies we work with, that's a flat cost. We have no adjustment of it. But we can adjust the resources that we spend each day to hit the metric. So can we drive down the trucking costs? Can we drive down the amount of waste on a job site, right? So it's the group that will be at the Dirt Summit that will fully understand some of the things that we're helping contractors do.
Totally. So I have what feels like a simple question, maybe a very complex, but I'm just sitting here thinking many trucks that are in fleets that are out there serving construction sites across, whether it's ag, whether it's asphalt, whether it's, dirt,
Sure.
are third party. And so as I'm thinking about, okay, they've got this software, so do you have to partner with third party truckers? Like if a business is wanting your services and your software, do you have to put a device in the trucks? Like how does the system work when it comes to using your software and partnering with
third party I'll
truckers?
kind of give you a baseline here. We work with probably 9 corporate companies. Some of the big ones, CRH is a name that's out there, Colas. I don't know the number, but I'm going to kind of guesstimate probably 75% of their hauling fleet is either a third party trucking broker group or independent group. So we have customers that 75% of their fleet they do not own. Okay. And so there is no easy way. This is not a simple answer. This is a difficult question, right?
Yeah. I apologize, but I figured many of our listeners are out there are probably thinking about it. So what a better time?
Yeah, it sounds easy. That's what they probably heard me talking like that sounds too easy. No, it's hard, right? I mean, I'm giving credit where credit is due. So we do have a capability to manage and basically manage and work with outside haulers. Okay. The basic mechanic of it, we do have a portable box that's plug and play that can just go in the cab of their truck, or we have an app on our software where they can just log in and we recognize that's who they are and they automatically come into the system. All right. And on top of it, we do ticketing. So if they pull a ticket from a plant, say for instance, from an aggregate plant, they all of a sudden show up in the system. So they have a few different ways to track those trucks. That at the front end, that seems like what it is, but it's really that's just the surface. What we have is we have a network now of contractors that all have decided to play a game on the same playing field. And so when you talk about these third party trucks, if I've got one company that wants to standardize and then the rest of them don't, then that's the outlier. When we have contractors in North America who are all trying to get all of their contractors in a software system, trying to get all of their contractors to play on the same playing field, the adoption level goes way higher. Markets like Virginia, markets like Pennsylvania, where we've got companies, big companies, who run a lot of trucks, and almost every brokerage has to go through them at some point in time. They know that there's software out there. Then the adoption is where the difficulty is. There's always good software out there. Some company shows up, but they can never get contractors to adopt it or the drivers. So I think that's where it's at, Jason. Technology is what it is. I think we've put tools out there. We've got contractors out there that are evangelizing, trying to get everybody on the same playing field. And we need to continue to do that. We need to continue to grow the construction space with this type of technology.
So I watched a video on your website, and one of the things that you said was you were just touching upon it. You were talking about adopting technologies and that we must be agents of change. Another simple concept, but change in the construction industry is hard. So any thoughts that you could share about being a change agent in the dirt world, or advice that you would have for our listeners that are out there thinking about, hey, I want to get better, but man, this has changed. This is different. This is hard. Like what would you have from an encouraging words about adopting some new technologies in the construction industry?
Change comes with a lot of negatives, right? Like, there needs to be some kind of like seminar for change management, because we have them in technology on the service side. We should probably have those same services on the construction side. Change management. How do I get buy-in? How do I How do we, change the guard, so to speak, of how we do things? And, we deal with this every day. What I will say is I always recommend that, there's clarity from top to bottom what the objectives are of our organization, right? Getting companies into the 21st century has to start at the top, and there has to be clarity in why. There are stigmas involved in this stuff. Jason, I can't tell you how many times, we're kicking a hornet's nest by doing this, or this feels like Big Brother. If we don't do it right, if the message isn't right, then that's what happens. And guys are too busy. You know what I'm talking about? I'm too busy to fool with this, and then it gets pushed off to the side. That's one. Number two is I really do believe that there are. We're going to the Impact Conference. One of our young leaders. We're going to the Impact Conference, and we've been signed up for the Impact Conference for years. There's up and coming, aspiring, I would say middle-aged guys, and these are millenniums from our company that are going, that are all working together to try to be the next rung of leadership within construction. So how much are we putting into that? And so those are the types of things that we do. We can't change the minds of people who aren't willing to change. But we also too can give the tools to people who are agents of change. And I think that's the key. We always tell people we're old school, Evan, and our biggest fear is they won't adopt it. Do you have a young up and coming guy that's either foreman or a super, or that's a guy that's in the office that is looking for a way to get to the next level in regards to their career? And they go, oh yeah, we got one or two. I was like, can I just meet with them? And sure, we get together, they take it on, they get with the old school guys, they get with the presidents of the companies, and they start to evangelize a little bit. And all of a sudden, they start hiring people that are like-minded, see how that works, and then they start to put that thing together, and it starts to work out. That's how I've seen it. It's a very difficult thing to do, but it's time. I feel like construction, it's time, right? It's getting there.
Yeah, the time is now for sure. We talk about the stats that are out there all the time on this podcast, or at least I bring them up because they're real. Currently we need about over 500,000 net new people coming into the industry in order to grow the industry and to serve, the industry well. By the year 2031, 40% of the workforce is going to retire. And so, with the natural attrition that's happening, what I'm hearing you say is this next generation is coming up. They're embracing technology. They want an opportunity to lead. They want an opportunity to learn and grow, and they want an opportunity to make a difference and to get better. And so it sounds like your technology and your leadership style and what you're doing, like you can help companies with leadership and workforce development.
We absolutely can.
Forward.
Well, workforce development we have to provide tools that help leaders and managers, basically expand with transparency, with visibility. These companies nowadays are so big that you can only trust so far. The trust I feel like construction is built on trust, and I get it. I actually love that because I'm a huge proponent of trust. But when you get to a size, your trust is now limited. Okay. And I think we can start with that foundation of how do we trust what we're doing here and use a tool to help us get to that level. Workforce development, just my thoughts on that, because I've got contractors that these are corporate big groups, have 1,200 plus open positions across North America. It's a lot of seats to fill, right? And so we got to think outside the box. My question is, what are you guys doing? It's like, we can't go through the same channels and avenues that we've done the last 25 years. Either those resources just aren't getting the type of quality, or those resources kind of dried up the leads. That sometimes happens, right? I used to I'm helping companies, looking at their advertising for truck drivers, because we deal with a lot of empty vehicles in yards. This company have fleet of 40 trucks. There's 12 that just don't move because they don't have drivers, right? And I'm looking at their advertising, and they've got and the picture that they have in there is from 1996. It's like, you got to freshen up your marketing, right? It's, that guy is probably in that picture, he's probably 80, Like you got to freshen up what you're doing. So it's that. And so we got to think outside the box, right? And I don't know what the resources are, but have we explored all the resources, specifically recruiting? And have we explored all the resources specifically for marketing, how to get in front of people to make construction fun and exciting, like I see it. Coming from a ConExpo year, I've never been more excited about the construction space and how do we take that, bottle it, push it out there and get everybody fired up. I think those are the things we need to invest in.
Yeah, we're starting to see the industry come alive when it comes to marketing and photography and videography and storytelling and really helping attract that next generation. We pay attention to it real close,
Sure.
Obviously here at BuildWit, because we've built a business, around what we call the people life cycle, helping companies attract through our creative agency. We've just launched BuildWit Jobs, a jobs platform, which is super cool, super exciting. We've got the micro learning training platform. And then ultimately, the area at Dirt World Summit is to unite the industry around leadership and workforce development, this people life cycle. Let's come together. Let's figure it out. Let's solve these problems. Let's engage, and let's figure out how we're going to solve the biggest challenge, which is where are we going to get the next group of people into the coming into the industry?
Yeah, we've been members for NAPA for many years, and I go to the NAPA conference, and that's workforce development has always come up. With asphalt plants and with some of the technology that's at the plants, it's really could dive into the engineering space and colleges, and I want to give a couple shout outs here: Superior Construction, Alan Myers, C.W. Matthews. I'm on their LinkedIn, and they are at every job fair. They're even creating their own job fairs. They're bringing out equipment. They've got, and I want to follow companies that are involved in that, because, and I'm only speaking from the asphalt space because we have a lot of NAPA companies. But if you think about some of the companies that do bridge work, Alan Myers was recognized on a job that they did maybe, I don't know how many miles of road over water. They were over water the whole project, right? It's like that's something to be said, right? So, and Alan Myers is going to be at the dirt conference. They worked in Virginia on a project that was millions of yards of dirt. And so we got to get excited about those things. And then we market those and the technology of it. Let's not miss that I've got teenagers. They all love tech. My son wants to get into e-commerce, and where I wanted to get in something else, it's all online. So how do we get those young folks involved in the technology of construction? That's why I think it's important that we win now so that we have those resources available for young folks that are interested.
Totally agree. Yeah, it's part of the reason I fell in love with BuildWit, to make the dirt world a better place is the mission. And I have a 14-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son, and I want them to both come into the industry as well and be a fifth generation. And, we have a unique opportunity right now. It's great. I love you doing the name dropping, and Napa is going to be at the Dirt World Summit. Super excited. We reached out to a bunch of national associations and said, hey, look, we love what you do, and you deliver, huge value to your members. We're not trying to compete. We really want to have this abundance mindset. We're trying to solve the biggest problem. Let's all come together and figure out how we're going to attract this next generation and really provide, what they need in order to be successful. And so super excited to see, Napa and some of the others that are coming to that event. It should be cool. Speaking of the summit, it's interesting. We have limited space this year. It's our first event. We're learning a lot. We've made a ton of mistakes, along the way. And it went from idea in January to delivering in October. And we've got we're going to do a major debrief after the event on what did we do wrong? What went well? What do we need to do better? And year 2 will be better than year 1, but we're really excited about it. Our sponsor space, we have 26 spaces, and we had sold 25. And then all of a sudden I see the deal, our HubSpot lights up, and I get a Slack message that, Earthwave is interested. Next thing you know, I see a meeting book. Next thing you know, I see a deal win channel is saying they're on board. And so it was like, you guys must have found out about the event and literally you did not take any time to make a commitment. So you got our last booth sponsorship. What made you jump on board so quickly?
I'm not taking any credit at all. But we finally assigned somebody to go out and look for opportunities, specifically in our space. And we've always just happened to land on these. And so we're like, let's get proactive. So one of my colleagues decided to do this, and the meeting came up where he was like, I got a few good ones. And I clicked on the Dirt World page, and it was literally our customers on there. I mean, Scotty's and Alan Myers, these different names. And I go, what, how did we miss this? So Larry's like, well, I'm going. And I had a conflict. Jason, I swear I had a conflict. It's like, cancel that thing. We're going. We like you said, it was overnight, but it's so exciting. I'll tell you what's exciting about the meeting is Larry and I are both huge Jocko Willett fans. I mean, in 2021, I remember coming right out of COVID, I downloaded the audiobook, Extreme Ownership. Okay. And I remember being in the dark. I put the gym in my basement. I was working out in my basement. And when it came on and I heard his voice and I'm literally in the dark and he's talking about this voyage in Iraq and these things, I've never been more pumped up in my life, right? I've never been more pumped up in my life listening to this audiobook. So then we bought the books for people on our team, Extreme Ownership. And that's been something that we always talk about as a group. And so having not only being able to fellowship in the industry with customers, with people that we really have gotten benefits from, it was a no-brainer, right? It was just a no-brainer to get involved. And I'm glad we got the last spot because we'd been sad if we would have missed it.
Absolutely. Well, we are super excited to have you guys, be a part of the Area Dirt World Summit. It's going to be an incredible 3 days. Got the golf outing and some workshops. We got Jocko that's going to be there. Day 3, we're going to be working through, what we call the people life cycle, attracting, hiring, onboarding, training, and retaining, great people. Is there anything specifically as we start to come to a close that you want to kind of wrap up? Any thoughts, any ideas, anything that you want to share kind of last minute before we jump off the podcast?
I do appreciate you having me on there, Jason. One is that it's interesting that we have so much connected. 2 is I appreciate you bringing up coaching and sports, because there's, what I love about the construction space, and this is not a play or anything. It's very, very similar to a sports team. Some of the principles, philosophies, how sports, transcend the lives of others, how teams go about winning, how dynasties are created. When you look at some of the construction companies that have been around 100 years, when you look at some of the names and the outfits and how they feel about each other, that's what really brings me to the industry. It brings my energy and love towards the industry the most. And the coaching aspect of it is just like a good coach is put on a pedestal. There are people who are good leaders and people who are good followers. And I think what I believe is when we do things right, we haven't had better followers in this world other than our construction companies. You don't talk about great followers. We've had companies who have listened to us, who have believed in us, who've trusted us and invested in us. And those guys then become the leaders. But it started with them saying, hey, Mr. Baker, Evan, I'm trusting you on this, right? And they give us our opportunity. Mm-hmm. And that I think to any coach would say, coaches will tell you, you got to have good players, right? And to win a championship, you got to have good players. And I always lean on that. It's like we have good companies that work with us that have allowed us to be in this space. So I want to say thank you to our customers that have trusted us and done business with us. That's why we win, because we have good talent, on that level.
I love it. I feel so connected to you from this conversation today. And it just snapped. The light bulb just went off as to why. but one of the best leaders and mentors that I've ever had in my career played college football at Marshall
Nice.
and was a coach. And so as I hear you talk and lead and your excitement and your enthusiasm and whatnot, man, Earthwave is lucky to have you. The dirt world is lucky to have you. I'm excited that now you're in my network. This might be our first interaction here, but it's not going to be our last. Super excited. You absolutely crushed it today. Really, really enjoyed it. Want to make sure that our listeners know how they can find Earthwave Technologies. You can go to earthwavetech.com. That's EARTH. WAVETECH, earthwavetech.com, or they're on all the socials. Obviously, you can look up Evan Triggs on all the social media platforms. He'll be referred to as Coach, but Evan Triggs on all the social. Hey, thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep leading in the dirt world, building people, projects, and communities.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evan.